All right, let's go on with Avandia. So I'm going to talk, I did a video on this, and the link is you'll find it on the blog post that my staff created. Wonderful Ashley and Taylor and Anthony here with us right now, folks. I literally do these videos. I'm not profiting from this. So I want to say and ask, if you have an extra $1 or $2 a month, something like that, we have a PayPal opportunity for people to be able to help the funding. All this camera equipment, all the ability to do this, all my hours of studying this stuff. And I hope there's value in that for you all. If there is, if you can help fund this mission that God's placed on my heart, I would greatly appreciate it. You know, I don't want to sound like somebody begging for money, but the reality is 3 staff members here, video equipment, tens of thousands of dollars I spend on this. I'm funding myself, and I would appreciate it. I want to get more out of this, but I've got to figure out a way to get to the point where I can bring I mean, how much would you all like it if I did this full-time? Literally full-time. I run a full-time practice. I go home, and I'm a part-time dad. I mean, I'm full-time when I'm with them. Well, my wife might argue occasionally I'm on the computer, and usually it's because of vaccine stuff, and then she hounds me for it. But I would love to be able to say, you know what, I go to work, I study vaccine issues, I study big pharma, I go after the corruption, I end the corruption. If we would end the corruption, folks, you know, I might get to it today. I don't know what time it is right now. Almost 2. How long have we been going for? Who knows? If we're not over an hour and a half, and it's not like you guys got to run. You know, I haven't ate lunch yet either. $5 will pay for my lunch every day, and I can keep working. PayPal online. You know, it's stressful to my family because, you know what, I could be doing like a lot of other chiropractors and people out there, and I could be just focusing on putting out information that generates me profits. But that's not my purpose. That's not my desire. So I've got to figure it out, and that's what I'm working on. So if you want to help, that'd be great. If not, no big deal. I'm not judging. I see you. No kidding. All right. All right, so we're going to go through this. I wanted to give you this information. I did an article, TWD in the comments on Facebook. I did an article, and it was evaluating another article. It was evaluating this article right here. So what I've been doing here lately is I would read articles all the time, research documents, those types of things. And I don't like sitting down and writing an article out of my quote-unquote own article. I like to comment on other people's articles. I like to point out deception or give people a little bit better in-depth understanding of what really is going on, how deep the corruption goes. So this article right here from Forbes magazine, Stephen Neeson, the hidden agenda behind the FDA's new Avandia hearings. What this article actually goes through is the new Avandia hearings. There was public hearings on Avandia and the research behind Avandia, GlaxoSmithKline, the maker of Avandia, how they withheld evidence that this drug was killing people. It's a diabetic drug. At one point in time, within only a matter of a few years, Avandia became the top-selling diabetic medication. But yet, GlaxoSmithKline, the maker of that drug, withheld the evidence that showed them that it was going to kill more people than if they didn't do anything, never brought this drug to market. People are dead because they lied. They are murderers, in my opinion, and by definition, I don't see how anybody else can say they're not murderers, but not a single person has gone to jail. Not a single person has been laid. Maybe they should have just injected Avandia into the arms of every single CEO and representative salesman that knew that this drug was going to kill people. I know people are like, oh man, that's harsh. It is. But when I see a man's heart is set on doing evil, I see him exactly the way God does, a worthless person. Read the Bible, folks. It's in there. Yeah, I know it. Some people are getting kind of, whoa, wait a minute. God thinks people are worthless? Yes, he does. If their hearts are set on continuing to do evil. And that's what I see pharma continuing to do, as well as members of the FDA, as well as members of the CDC. Folks, we're going to get into this, but the reason I did that is because they literally lied and they've killed people. So they did another hearing. The reason they did another hearing was to basically they tried to say, hey, we weren't at fault. Even though we hid, they concealed. Watch this. I'm going to go through several quotes from this article. Initially, GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, withheld the internal analysis from the FDA. The internal analysis which showed that their drug Avandia was going to kill people. All right, but in 2006, the company informed CDER. CDER is this right here. So Anthony put that up on the screen. CDER is, and this is so Janet Woodcock, MD, is the director for the Centers for Drug Evaluation and Research. So the CDER is the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research. It's a committee, or basically like a subcommittee of the FDA. This woman has been head of this committee for almost 20 years now, and in the article that I'm talking about, you will find that she is basically shielded from the people she's supposed to serve. She is literally committing crimes. Her committee is committing crimes. And I'll prove that to you because watch. But in 2006, the company informed CDER, informed the FDA committee of its findings. So GlaxoSmithKline came to the FDA and said, hey, FDA, CDER, Janet Woodcock and her committee members, she's the head of the CDER, GSK, a criminal, informed them, said, hey, we literally withheld this evidence that it was killing people, and it's starting to come to light because actually these other medical journals and medical people are seeing this risk in reality. So we're going to get caught soon. So basically they come the FDA and say, here you go, Janet. Here you go, CDER. Can you look at this information? We hid information that we were killing people for profits. Well, what did the CDER do? Well, our FDA subcommittee did what? The FDA statisticians confirmed the risks. They confirmed that there was an increased risk of stroke and heart attack due to Evandy, is what that means. But incredibly, the CDER and GSK agreed privately to conceal the hazard from patients and practitioners. So folks, you can't blame your medical physician for killing your grandfather or grandmother who had diabetes and was fed Evandia. Because why? Because the FDA subcommittee and GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, worked together to conceal the evidence from both patients and doctors. Can you guys believe this? Is that not incredible? But watch, you want to see how these people aren't in jail? Wait for this, folks. This is unbelievable. But I want to mention that GSK has been found guilty of buying prostitutes for doctors. GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, buys, and this is a vaccine manufacturer as well. I want people to think about the products they are pumping into their children, the products that they are ingesting and taking, thinking they need that. You know, I have multiple patients off all their drugs right now, diabetics included, or people who had diabetes in the past, who now are either taking herbs or getting adjusted or have changed their diet completely off their drugs. Because I know how to help somebody heal, not pump drugs in them. Doctors, as we know it, or people calling doctors, those are drug dealers. They're not healers. I'm sorry, I'm frustrated with this entire system. But doctors are selling the products given to them by companies who buy prostitutes. Read the article, Is Big Pharma Addicted to Fraud? They literally buy off medical physicians to prescribe more of their drugs. In one incident, it killed thousands of people on a regular basis because doctors got more money the more of the drug they sold. The more of drugs they sold that were made by GSK, the more money GSK would buy them or give them. More prostitutes they would buy them. More cruise ship vacations they would give them. So literally, right there, we know for a fact GSK is a criminal. But GSK is a company. It's a piece of paper. There are people who are evil and corrupt in that organization who believe, oh, I know, and everybody else there who has a good heart, who is a sincere, moral, ethical person, God-fearing person, should say the same thing I do. They need to be in jail. They need to be completely out of the healthcare system. They are taking advantage of people who are sick and suffering and need help. All of the people that are sick with diabetes, they are going to their doctor with a desire to get well, a desire to live a longer and healthier life. But not one of the doctors who are solely selling these drugs are doing just that, what the patient deserves and desires. Since 2006, CDER, this FDA subcommittee, has expended considerable taxpayer dollars trying to absolve itself of responsibility for this Inexplicable error in judgment. Error in judgment? Are you kidding me? They're getting money from Big Pharma. I bet you the CDER, maybe there's a Chippendales dancer that was bought for Janet Woodcock. Okay, there's so many jokes I could go with that one on that name. And okay, not going to. Okay. Taxpayer dollars. They spend our money. They are taking our money to literally cover their rear ends for committing crimes against us and our loved ones. Our government is so corrupt. The fact that medical physicians in Congress don't do anything about this is ridiculous. Inexplicable error on it. Oh, I just can't explain why they would make such a bad error. No, they did it on purpose. People conceal things on purpose. Oh, I accidentally concealed. My job is to actually evaluate. Because look at this, look. So Janet Woodcock's job of her committee says this. Dr. Woodcock and her center. So Dr. Woodcock and her center do this. Evaluate prescription and over-the-counter drugs before they can be sold. No, they didn't. They didn't because they didn't actually look at the data. They just took the word of GlaxoSmithKline that the drug was safe and didn't kill people. Turns out GSK was actually hiding the data that Evandy killed people. Can be sold and oversee their testing and clinical trials. They provide healthcare professionals and patients with the information they need to use medicines wisely. You know what would have been a wise choice? Never to have taken Evandia ever. They don't do what they say they do on their website. They are liars. Woosa. All right. In May 2007, my colleague, Kathleen Wolski, and I published an independent analysis. This is the author of this article speaking here. Him and a colleague published an independent analysis of Evandy in the New England Journal of Medicine showing statistically significant 43% increase in heart attack. In a congressional testimony, CDER, the FDA subcommittee headed up by Janet Woodcock, they told officials, acknowledged that the FDA statisticians had confirmed our findings, reporting a 40% increase in risk of heart attack. So, independent researchers and medical physicians found a 43% increased risk of stroke and heart attack with Evandia over other drugs, okay? Then, the FDA committee admits in a public congressional testimony that yes, they confirmed the same thing. But yet watch what happens in the long run. Just go to the FDA's website and look up Evandia. It's ridiculous, and I'll show it to you in just a second. Independent FDA statisticians confirmed the hazards of Evandia, this time reporting an 80%, this comes from the RECORD trial. A Lancet RECORD trial looking at the evidence, they did an independent analysis of that data and they found an 80% increased risk of heart attack and stroke, heart attack risk. Okay, folks, what they tried to try to do, Lancet published a bogus research article because what happened, even after an independent statistician was able to find the errors in the RECORD trial. The RECORD trial was analyzed by a legendary FDA reviewer, Dr. Tom Markinayak. I can't pronounce his last name very well. A physician of the highest integrity and independence, and his review was devastating. The review said this, 2010 review of RECORD showed that extraordinary bias in the conduct of the trial. For example, the trial was unblinded. That means that everybody knew what was going on. That says that physicians and the patients were aware which drug they were taking, which biases the results. Even GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, the drug company, was unblinded to what was taking place, who was getting what drugs. And then incredibly, whenever a study site reported a clinical event, which you have to understand that there can be a study site like a doctor's office. They have to record the adverse events, the heart attack rates, those things, and then they give that data to GSK. They give that to the drug manufacturer. The drug manufacturer, who then collects all this data and information, its contract research organizations knew immediately which drug the patient was receiving. But the review showed that events occurring in the Evandia patients were changed or deleted sometimes months after they should have been reported and counted. These and many other flaws make the RECORD trial totally unreliable, but if you go on Lancet.com, you will see the Lancet does nothing to warn people that GSK was in control of the data and was able to delete deaths, delete people, just wipe them off. Little 1984 George Orwell stuff there, rewrite history. Somebody died from our drug, oh, just delete them from the system. We'll just forget about them. An independent FDA reviewer found that they committed research fraud. FDA does nothing about it. That's my point in this entire video. However, the CDER leadership refused to accept the conclusions of the regulators around the world and its own advisory committee that Avandia is hazardous instead. CDER arranged for the RECORD trial to be re-evaluated or re-adjudicated, reanalyzed by an outside group, the Clinical Trial Center at Duke University. Duke University, folks. Get this. Wait. Duke University just got found guilty of research fraud. Duke University commits $200 million worth of research fraud. They were fined for $112 million. They got paid roughly $90 million for committing research fraud with our taxpayer dollars. I mean, seriously, did you guys see this? Are you guys connecting the dots? GSK, though. GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, the criminal, the people who literally have been proven guilty in a congressional testimony and hearing that they committed fraud. They lied. They withheld evidence that their drug was killing people. But the FDA wanted to keep looking at data, even after GSK deleted people off of it. Then our government CDER committee in the FDA does this. Folks, they let Duke University, a criminal, look at another criminal's evidence, and they allowed GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, the company who buys prostitutes for doctors, hand the evidence. That's like a murder trial going on, and then our government and the judge says, you know what, a good idea for this would be, you know what, how about everybody just give all the evidence you found to the guy who murdered somebody, give it to him, and what we're going to do is we're going to let him decide what all the jury members get to see. Go ahead, GlaxoSmithKline, go ahead and get all your data together and give it to the criminal Duke University, and let's criminal judge, let's make sure that they figure out whether this drug actually harms somebody or not. All right, criminals, go to work. Let's see what you come up with. Are you guilty? It's insane. Duke backs safety findings from controversial Avandia drugs. Oh, it's safe. Duke University, the university that commits fraud, that can continue getting research money for committing fraud, they find after multiple hearings, multiple research studies, even GSK, the FDA, New England Journal of Medicine, how many people have to sit there and say, yes, we know this drug increases the risk of stroke and heart attack. And then the FDA is like, well, let's get somebody to say the opposite. And as long as they say the opposite, that's what we'll do. So what did the FDA do? There you have it. It's right there in front of you. I feel like Ace Ventura. Okay, can't do that. Do you feel it? Loser. All right, I'm an Ace Ventura Pet Detective fan. Okay. FDA, Drug Safety Communication, FDA eliminates the risk evaluation mitigation strategy for, that's Avandia, that's a scientific name for Avandia, containing diabetes medicines. So we're just going to take, that wasn't a real risk. We didn't see that. We let Duke University, a criminal, evaluate the information given to them by a criminal, and they came up with what we wanted to say, which was this drug didn't actually increase your risk. So guess what? Even though the FDA committee didn't tell patients and physicians exactly what they say on their website they are supposed to do, they committed a crime. They are, what is it when you help a criminal out? It's accomplice or whatever. You are a, not an association, but you know what I'm getting at here. Aiding and abetting. They aided and abetted a criminal by letting a criminal, Duke University, evaluate do you get how corrupt our system is, folks? I don't know if y'all are okay with me getting worked up about this stuff. Some people, I get the YouTubers out there and people out there be like, man, this guy really needs to act serious because this is a really serious issue. And I understand it's a serious issue, but the reality is I would go insane. You know what? If I didn't have a little fun of this, if I didn't make it entertaining, you know what? Like I've always said, people will watch a father getting hit. Maybe I should post the video. Let's post the video of Amos hitting the my little boy, literally like one of the first times, and Anna just turns her phone on, and I go, the wiffle ball, I go like that to Amos, and he's like 2 years old. Whack! Boom! Right in the nuts. People will watch somebody getting hit in the nuts with a softball or a wiffle ball more times than they will watch this video, more times than they'll share it because it's, oh, that's hilarious, let me share it. Oh, children are dying because of research fraud. And I don't know if I want to share that because my friends might not like me. Y'all, truth hurts no matter who you are. All right. Y'all get this? Everybody going with me? The FDA has been rocked by a series of scandals over the last decade. One FDA commissioner resigned under a cloud, and later a cloud of you know what was coming his way. Anybody? All right, I'm sorry. Kingpin. Anybody else watch Kingpin? Where they're like the bowlers? No, not a single one of my staff. Anybody on Facebook ever watch Kingpin? Come on, tell me you've watched Kingpin, please. Or the Amish guy, and they're like trying to sneak away from one of the girl in the movie. They're like trying to go, all right, man, we got to get out of here. The weather says there's a whole huge cloud of, and he turns around, the lady's right there in his car because she knew there was something up, and he goes, shiitake. He said something else. And then the Amish guy's like, you mean there's a huge cloud of shiitake coming? Oh my God. And he's like yelling at people, hey, there's a huge cloud of shiitake coming this way. You guys, run for your... You get it? No? Okay. There's a huge cloud of shiitake coming towards the commissioner of the FDA. So he resigned because he didn't report owning stock in companies, agencies for which he regulated and approved their drugs. This happens way more than we know. Another commissioner resigned during the investigation of the use of political influence to gain approval for a medical device that was subsequently withdrawn, so it killed people. We have endured a series of drug and device safety disasters, Vioxx, Avandia, Katek, defective defibrillator leads, and recently compounding pharmacy oversight, and the list goes on, like opioid epidemic, prescription drugs for depression in our children that increase suicide. It doesn't say all that, but I wanted to include those things that have harmed many of our fellow citizens. We are not your fellow citizens. I am not one of your fellows. I do not walk, and I will not mingle with evil individuals such as those that work at the FDA. I'm sick of this. These are people's lives, and you are literally allowing, our government is literally allowing a government organization to get paid to work with criminals to kill people for profits.